Salam sejahtera, guys. Welcome to Dive Vlog. My name is Adam.
Hi, and I'm Dicky. Welcome back to our channel. Adam, today yet another episode. What are we going to be talking about?
Well, first of all, as you guys can see from our background, we are back on the island,
Yes.
the island of Tioman, and we are at B&J Dive Center.
Mhm.
What are we doing here, Dicky?
We have been here for about close to 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Slightly over 2 weeks. I was conducting the IDC course, getting people up to speed to becoming the next generation of scuba instructors or scuba educators. And along the way, as usual, when we are at our office or our playground, as we call it, we tend to bump into so many individuals, so many interesting characters. I'm very fortunate enough, or we have been fortunate enough to meet someone from all the way from Germany. I was made to understand that there was a place near Stuttgart, and this individual is definitely very interesting. Maybe I will leave it to you to give a little bit more of an introduction of this particular person.
Well, first of all, she's a beautiful lady.
Oh, yes.
And I'm really looking forward to chat with her. Yeah, Dicky, you are right. She is a very interesting individual. Let her herself tell us what she's doing here on the island and how she got there. Without further delay, I would like to introduce you guys to Vanessa Bok.
Hi, Vanessa. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you for being in our podcast in such short notice. And thank you so much for willing to come here and talk to us. So let's begin by introducing yourself to the audience.
My name is Vanessa. I'm 26 years old from Germany and currently traveling Southeast Asia. I'm in Malaysia since 6 weeks now, on Tioman since 3 weeks.
How do you start scuba diving? What's your journey like?
I started scuba diving with an open water course in August 2023 on Sri Lanka. I didn't really plan to do it when I went to Sri Lanka. I did a 1-month trip to Sri Lanka and then back home. But I met people on my travels and they said, oh yeah, scuba diving is great. And I personally never thought about scuba diving before because my family doesn't dive, my friends from home don't dive, so I never really got in touch with diving until I met these people in Sri Lanka. For me, everything was satisfying because people always ask me, how was it for you to dive for the first time? How did you like diving in Sri Lanka? And I'm like, well, I don't really have a objective point of view of it because it was my first time and everything was satisfying, and being underwater, breathing underwater was so unreal to me. But that's how I got into diving. It was not planned, but I'm happy that I did it there because I was shortly before that I say, nah, I'll do it later. And if I would have said that, I would probably not have done it until today.
What do you like most about scuba diving? What motivates you to get into the water?
What I like most about scuba diving is the feeling of completely being by yourself underwater. Like for me personally, it feels a little bit like meditation. You only hear the water, your own breathing, the bubbles, can look around, see cool stuff underwater, have a fun time with friends or even just people you met 2 minutes ago on the boat, whatever it is. You always have a fun time. And there's so much cool stuff to see underwater.
And your current highest certification in scuba diving?
My highest certification at the moment is the Advanced Open Water Diver.
Did you took that in Sri Lanka as well?
No, I did that in Koh Tao, Thailand.
Wow, Dicky. Started open water at Sri Lanka and then advanced at
Koh Tao.
And now she's at Tioman.
How long has it been since your first certification again?
The first one, the open water, was in August 2023.
August 2023.
Yeah. Then
okay.
I didn't dive for over a year, and then I did my advanced in September last year.
She's quite a traveler, Dicky. I mean, she's been to a lot of places. I reckon like 2 certification at 2 different countries.
Prior to coming or traveling to Asia, what do you do back home?
Back home, I used to work as an industrial mechanic. So I worked in a company that produces hydraulic pumps for construction machines, tractors, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mainly worked in maintenance of CNC machines. I just realized that's not what I want to do my whole life, especially the shift work, to be honest. Just not for me, not for the rest of my life. And that's why I decided to first take a break from the job. So I applied for a sabbatical at my company for 1 year that I got. Supposed to be back on the 1st of September to start work again, but probably I will quit that. Yeah, because I just don't want to go back to that job.
Help me understand a little bit, because I personally meet a lot of Europeans or tourists from outside of Malaysia, right? Foreigners. It seems easy for people over that side to go out on sabbatical leave and travel here and there. What's the mindset? What's the idea behind it? Why do we see a lot of Europeans to go traveling? Currency exchange is one, yes, but getting sabbatical. I don't think that we can practice that here in Malaysia. There's no such thing as you can take a long leave so that you can go on a holiday, see places, learn cultures and so on, and come back to your work and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't mind, if you can share, what is that actually? What's the idea and belief behind it? How come it's accepted in the Europe?
I think that's an advantage that we have in Europe, that we're able to do that. But it also always very depends on the company where you work. Because in my case, for example, I work in a very big company, international, with a lot of different operating places. And in that company, you're just a number. So if you go, they just replace you with somebody else.
Okay.
So they don't really care about the individual. They just care about work being done, no matter who does it. So for them, it doesn't really matter if I'm there or not, because they anyways get new workers. And also the work that I did, it doesn't really take long to get somebody new into it. So maybe a few weeks, maybe 1.5 months. If I'm there or not, doesn't really matter. So that's what I can say about how it is in my company where I used to work.
But then again, because it's widely practiced, maybe nationwide in Europe, everybody is doing that. So it's easy for you who have left work to come back to work and just find another job, right?
To make it clear to the audience, a sabbatical is something like you can take a break from work. Let's say for Vanessa, it's a duration of a year. And you can go back to the company anytime within the year and they will still hire you back. I wouldn't say hire you back because you are still hired. It's just that you can take a break for a year. In our region, there's no such thing. The only way that we can do sabbatical is we quit our job, get fired, or we are in between work. There's no such thing as sabbatical. I mean, most people probably never heard of that word before, sabbatical. Just pack their bag, 1 year, get out of the country, travel the world.
Exactly. But then again, to be able to afford that, flight tickets, cost of living and all that, experiencing cultures, that requires, if you're going for a year kind of a sabbatical, you need to have good amounts of savings for that, right? So that's something to think about as well.
And Vanessa, what actually motivates you to start traveling?
I started traveling like with small trips between 2 and 4 weeks. The first one was to Panama. That actually was just because all my friends went on holidays with their boyfriends. I was the only one without a boyfriend, and so my friends didn't have time to go on like a girls' holiday. And then I was like, at the end of the year, well, everybody went out of the country except me. So I just decided, okay, let's go alone 2.5 weeks. And that's basically what started my passion for traveling. Then I did some small trips over the year when I had 2 weeks off from work or something. So with every trip, my desire to want to travel longer and further away from Europe got bigger and bigger and bigger. And because I wanted to see other cultures, meet new people, experience a different life.
Can you tell us some of the countries, or name us, if not all, some of the countries that you have visited? What exactly you like about that particular country, and
so
any memorable experience from that trip?
Before I started this trip, I went to Panama, Sri Lanka and Portugal. and Albania. All of these trips were between 2 and 4 weeks, which was great. On every trip I met amazing people, made some great memories. The most memorable experiences I made on this longer trip, especially during volunteerings. I did my first one, for example, in Laos. It was about teaching English to novices in a monastery and to younger kids between 6 and 12. I think the oldest was 12. We lived on a quite remote island on the Mekong, somewhere halfway between Dondet and Pakse. We lived with a family. They had 2 daughters on the age of 3 and 1 year, which was very cute. The place was incredible, beautiful. Every morning we went with the boat to the mainland to get to the monastery to teach the novices English for just 1 hour, which was totally enough. You could really see that they want to learn English, but it's hard because we were the first volunteers of the season, because when it's rainy season they don't take volunteers. That's what our host told us. Wow. And we basically started from 0 again, but it was so great to see in the 2.5 weeks when I was there that the progress that they made. Like at the end of the 2.5 weeks before when I left, we could actually have a conversation in English, which was great. Also, the kids that came to the homestay where we stayed, the intention was to teach them English, but not on a like school teaching thing, more like with playing, getting some English words to them so that they have fun and want to come back, and not that they think, oh, well, now I was in school and now I have to go to learn something again after school. So we played a lot of football with them. We teach them how to play Uno. You know I guess you know the game. We went for swims in the Mekong with them. It was a great time, and also the host it was very inspiring to talk to him. He was a monk for 9 years before he started his project with the English teaching and his homestay and everything. Conversations that gave me a lot of inspiration, because he said his original motivation to become a monk was learning English because he heard a monk speaking English, but then he realized, oh, there's so much more about it. Like, for example, happiness is a thing, like you can choose to be happy. If you're not happy, you can change the situation. It's up to you if you live a life where you're always complaining, or if you make your life you turn it into something that you really enjoy. Like it's up to you if you do things you don't like or if you do things that make you happy. So that's basically what meditation and his time as a monk taught him, which was very inspiring for me. Another great experience that I had was actually the Ha Giang Loop in Vietnam, which sounds very basic because so many people are doing it. There's a reason for why it is so popular, because the views are great. The people you get to know, you stay with them very close, 24 hours a day, 4 days in a row. I made great friendships there. The locals our guides were great people, so friendly. We couldn't really talk to each other because English was not really good, and obviously nobody of us could speak Vietnamese. I think we did really great with Google Translate, like speak into it and then there you go. Yeah, it was a very, very fun time. Well, now I'm here on another volunteering, which is great. I actually think that's the best volunteering I've done so far.
In your current 1 year sabbatical trip, right? Can you give us like a breakdown of your itinerary from Germany until here? What's your itinerary like? Where you started and how you ended up here at Tioman Island?
So I took a flight from Frankfurt in Germany to Bangkok. And then I spent 7 weeks traveling through Thailand. First, after Bangkok, I went to the south, normal touristic route, Koh Samui, Koh Phangan, Koh Tao. I went to the Khao Sok National Park, which was very beautiful. Then I visited some other islands in the south, Koh Lanta, Koh Phi Phi, and then I went to a very, very beautiful island, Koh Payam, on the west coast. People that I met in Bangkok told me about this island, otherwise I would have never known about it. It's so beautiful, and it was such a difference to all the other Thai islands, because we were like maybe 10 tourists on this island, because it was still rainy season, so it rained basically every day, but just for a couple of hours, so still very, very nice. And then I headed to the north, to Chiang Mai. I met a friend from home there. She traveled Thailand with her boyfriend for 3 weeks. And after that, I went to Laos for 5 weeks. 2.5 weeks of it were the volunteering I talked about. And after that, I went to Vietnam for 2.5 weeks, but I just traveled in the north of Vietnam, which was actually really cold compared to Thailand and Laos in December. I didn't expect it to have 12 degrees in Sapa. I was not prepared, but that's fine. And after that, I went back to Thailand to meet some friends that I met while traveling in Laos. We met up for Christmas and New Year's. Then I stayed 1 month on Koh Tao I volunteered in a hostel that belonged to a dive center. I didn't really had much to do with the dive center. It was more like taking care of the hostel, chatting with the guests, making sure that they have a great time, helping behind the bar with check-ins, check-outs, stuff like that. And then I came to Malaysia 5 weeks ago, I think. Yeah.
In Tioman, to be more specific, tell us why Tioman. How did you found out about Tioman Island?
I actually had no idea about Tioman Island. I was searching for a place where you can already dive in Malaysia, where the season already started. So I just typed in on Google diving Malaysia February. B&J Dive Center came up. It was the first one on the Google page. That's why I decided to come here. It didn't have a specific reason to come. I mean, the specific reason was because I wanted to dive, but it was not, okay, I want to dive on Tioman. But I'm incredibly happy about that I ended up here.
A lot of her schedule is actually quite impromptu. Like she just go with the flow. She just managed to, ask people around, and then people just tell her where to go, and that's where she is. There's no prior program for you. You just like go with the flow.
Go with the flow, kind of. Yes.
That's nice,
Actually, yeah.
Like you don't really have a plan, and then you just do it.
Yeah.
You did mention that you have already been in Malaysia for 5 weeks. Tell us, what is it like to be on the island?
So on the island here of Tioman, I'm since 3 weeks. When I first came here, I planned to stay 3 nights.
3 nights become 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And longer, possibly.
Always happens right here in
Yes.
Tioman Island.
Yes.
I heard that from a few other people that happened to a lot of people here. Yeah, so I came as a guest, seasoning start promotion of B&J on Instagram. Booked my 3 nights with 5 or 6 dives. And on the first day on the boat, one of the DMs, Ajoy, he told me about the volunteer program. I spoke to Martin about it. Yeah, that's how I ended up being here since 3 weeks now. Hopefully until mid-April. It's incredibly great. Really enjoy it. It's like very slow life. Everybody is so friendly here. When I first arrived here, when I left the ferry, somebody asked me, where are you going? And I was like, I actually don't really know, because I forgot the name of the dive center, and I had no internet connection because my SIM card ran out and everything. And they were like, you want to dive? And I was like, yeah, I booked some divings. And they said, oh yeah, the only open dive center at the moment is B&J. It must be B&J. And yeah, people are just so helpful here. After that, I've met so many nice people, made some new friendships. Not just people who stay here for longer, also from the guests who stayed here maybe a week. Everybody's just incredibly friendly. Everybody seems to be happy. I hope everybody is happy. Yeah.
Was there any expectation, and what you envision Tioman to be? Maybe you have done some research here and there, right? And then what did you want to get out of Tioman? I
didn't have big expectations, to be honest. I just came for diving, and I'm happy with whatever you can see underwater here. I didn't do any research. Easy to make me happy with whatever. If it's a turtle, if it's just a parrotfish, if it's a nudibranch. I love nudibranches. They are so cute. Okay. They're like small Pokemons. Yeah, I didn't had big expectations, but I'm very happy to be here. I think even if I had expectations, so my experiences now would have definitely passed the expectations, I guess. So, but what I always think is, if you don't have expectations, you cannot be disappointed.
Okay. Okay.
Vanessa, so you mentioned that your initial plan coming to Tioman is just to scuba dive, and if I remember, it was just 3 days. That was your plan.
Yeah.
And now this is your third week here on the island. What makes you stay? Why are you still here in Tioman Island?
After I heard about the volunteer program, I asked them if they already take volunteers because I thought, well, maybe it's the start of the season, maybe they're not doing it already or whatever. So I talked to the owner here and he advised me to go to the manager because he left one day after. But at the first place, she said normally they just take at least rescue divers, which I'm not. You will just tag along with the fun divers if there's space on the boat. Yeah, now I'm here doing the COT volunteer program since 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. It's great. I mean, the team here of BNJ is nice. Everybody, I come very good along with all the people here. Nothing to complain about. So I see no reason why I should leave.
So 3 days now, over 3 weeks, and not only that, she's going to stay longer until maybe another 3 more weeks to come. As she said, mid of April. That tells something, right?
Yeah, definitely. Can you explain to us what is this volunteer program about?
It's basically about protecting the corals here around Tioman. They have invasive species called crown of thorns here. It's a starfish that basically feeds himself with corals, so they eat corals, which destroys the reefs because there's a big overpopulation of them. Basically, we inject them with vinegar, which makes them, if you inject it on the right positions and everything, they should disappear in 24 hours. That sounds, at the first place, maybe a bit hard because we basically kill them. Otherwise, if we wouldn't do that, they would kill the corals and at some point all the reefs would be dead. So there would not be a great environment anymore underwater, not for the animals, not for divers, for basically nobody. And there's the organization called Reef Check. They take the main care of it, I would say. They came here to show me and Wendy how to use and assemble and disassemble the injection guns. On the first dive where I did the injection, there was one of the guys from Reef Check going with me, showing me how to inject, which are the best spots. Like the best spots are in between the limbs of the COTs. That's basically what the program is about.
Do you know why are they so invasive?
I actually don't know.
Crown of thorn is a natural occurring starfish in our ocean. They are perfectly in their habitat. Because of overfishing and also intervention from humans, they are predators being wiped out. And which cause them to overproduce, and there's no
balance
between the predators and crown of thorns. If it's balanced, it's fine. Crown of thorns eat corals.
Yeah.
If there's too much of them, they will destroy the corals, which is why we need to control their population, and exactly what you are doing right now to minimize, to reduce their numbers, to make sure that we protect the corals. And corals are actually very hard to grow. It takes decades. For them to grow from infant to when they are big. It's like basically an invasion of crown of thorns can devastate a reef in a matter of weeks or months, which took decades or hundreds of years to grow. We definitely need to protect the corals by reducing the numbers of crown of thorns. So that is Vanessa's work right now at the moment.
So during the volunteer program, you go out every day?
It very depends on the boat schedule. If there are spots left on the boat, I can just hop on and tag along with the fun divers. If there's no space on the boat, obviously I don't go out. Maybe for a shore dive, if anybody is there to make a buddy team. Because me as an advanced, I'm not allowed to go alone, obviously.
How many dives have you conducted?
For the COT, I think it must be around 20 now.
20 dives.
Yeah.
And on these 20 dives, can you remember how many COTs have you collected over that 20 dives?
I always report it to the dive center, but I don't have it directly in my head. I think around maybe 120.
So on average, 6 COT a day?
On average, yeah. But it very depends on the dive sites. For example, in Sepoy, we had 26 In other dive sites, on some days you maybe have 0.
Mm-hmm.
So it very depends on the dive sites.
Can you explain to us the process of killing this crown of thorns?
You have the gun with a long needle, which is connected to a bottle filled with vinegar. Basically, just inject them 4 to 6 times in between the limbs. Then you just have to wait 24 hours until they disappear. That's the process.
Disappear.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened to the crown of thorns after you have injected the vinegar into them?
Not really. I don't know what happens inside them.
Have you seen
The
the
reaction.
result of the crown of thorns after you have injected them?
No, I don't think I've seen it yet.
Have you seen it, Dicky?
If I can remember correctly from the experience I had, so once we have injected this, and then it will just somehow slowly turn over and just crumple in. I think in due time it does change color for a bit, so from lively to, you can see if it's dead or not through its color, right? That's as far as I've seen it, but I don't know what happens to it thereafter. I've never thought of it, just like, okay, let's just go and shoot this bugger, or if I may say so, shoot the crown of thorns. The idea is to help regenerate or take care of the corals, but then right till the end, what's happening with the crown of thorns? No, I have no idea. In the past, what we did or what experience I had was we literally physically collect crown of thorns, bring them out of the water and bury them. That can be dangerous because the crown of thorns has got all these spikes, and a lot of us have gotten pricked by these thorns, and it's painful and a lot of stuff happens. And then now the widely used procedure is to just inject the crown of thorn with vinegar.
Based on my years of experience with COT, we started by just collecting them and bringing them out to the surface. We either bury them, and then there was this once where we actually burned them as well. So the reason why we inject them with vinegar underwater is we cannot straight away kill them underwater. If it detects that it's going to die, it's going to spawn. When we kill it, it actually creates more
eggs,
crown
more
of
crown
thorns
of
and more
thorns.
eggs into the water. So which is why we cannot just kill it like that. Vinegar that we inject to it, chemically wise, I do not know how to explain. I'm not a marine biologist or a chemist or whatever. But based on my experience, I've seen quite a lot of them actually after being injected. Maybe within 24 hours to 48 hours, you go back to the same dive site, you will see them there, and it looks like they have exploded. As Dicky said, they actually turn upside down, or some of them don't, and then you see all their internal organs got spilled out from their body. So some of them actually
Melt
broke
or
into
whatever,
half.
yeah.
Broke into half, and then you can see their organs just spewing out from it, and then you see fishes eating them. So in a way, this is a safer way to kill crown of thorns. It will not injure the diver who is handling the crown of thorns, because as Dicky said, when we bring them up, they are heavy. Some of them are small, but they are still really heavy because they are filled with water. Then we have to basically hoist them up, and during that process, some of us actually got pricked by the thorns, so which is very dangerous. Which is why we don't do it anymore. Thank God, the scientists or I don't know whoever found a way. Vinegar actually helps with killing them without them spawning when they are about to die. So at the moment, this is the best, I would say, the best process of controlling their population. The gun itself is actually quite expensive. The one that we use is actually for agriculture purposes. It's for farmers to inject fertilizer, yeah. So they put fertilizer and then they jab it onto the ground, and then they inject the fertilizer onto the ground for, of course, whatever veggies they grow. Here, in our case, we use it to kill crown of thorns. I'm sure you enjoy doing that in a way, Vanessa. At first,
you get
probably
to
think
kill
that,
something without feeling guilty.
yeah, I mean, it's to protect the environment, right, in a way. One of the customer called her the angel of death.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's been doing a good job, a great job controlling the population that she got named angel of death now, which you think you should be proud of.
Yes.
Okay. I take that.
I mean, this is the process. This is the program. Can you tell us your thought about this program? And since you have already been doing it for 3 weeks, right? What is your thought?
So my thoughts about this program is that it's a very, very good thing that especially Reef Check takes care of the underwater environment here. I think it's a good thing that B&J takes volunteers to help with controlling of the COTs, so that it's not just the responsibility of Reef Check itself. I don't know if there are more dive centers on Tioman who are doing it, but it's definitely a good thing, and I feel very lucky to be part of it. Very pleasant to be involved in that.
Diki, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this initiative, this COT program started about 2 years ago, post-COVID, I think.
You mean the volunteer program? I think it has been a while. If I can remember, BNJ has started this program since late 90s, because when I was on Tioman then, we were already, be a part of this program and so on. Yes, the only thing is that at that point in time, they call up people and then they give promotions about, doing the dive and doing the COT programs. But then eventually, I think in early 2000, I think 2007, 8, 9 maybe, that's where it started with this hardcore volunteering program. Not only with the COT program, B&J has, I mean, there's a lot of other dive center does it as well. What we normally do, or I personally do, is to bring people to adopt dive sites where we do dive again debris programs and also beach cleanup and becoming an eco diver kind of thing. So there's a lot of things that we can do as a diver to advocate or to be a volunteer or taking care of the oceans. Yeah, but to answer your question, the volunteer program has been since
For a long time.
Yeah.
This COT volunteer program, as Vanessa previously explained to you guys just now, usually you need to be at least rescue certified. And of course, you definitely need to have good buoyancy because you're always hovering on top of the corals while injecting the COT. I wouldn't say it's a dangerous job. It's not.
No.
As long as you take precaution and you have good buoyancy, it's pretty much easy.
Well, the idea is to take care of the corals. The idea is to take care of the sea. But then if you are trying to be in this program, trying to take care of the sea, but you yourself is hurting the ecosystem, then that is not,
Yes, that is so true.
This is why we want those who are volunteering more or less are independent diver. So they are very skillful, I would say, and they master their buoyancy very well, so that they don't harm the environment, and themselves as well. Yeah.
And the duration for this program is usually a month. As Vanessa found out, it can be longer or it can be shorter. So this is, of course, you need to discuss with management and all those things. And for those of you guys who would like to apply for a position for this volunteer job, you go to their website, send in an email, and we'll see how things goes, right? And hopefully we'll get to see you on the island doing this program and helping the environment, protecting the corals.
There are a lot of programs like this. Not only in Tioman, Tioman, there's a lot of dive center that does offer volunteer program. But not just Tioman. You have islands like Perhentian, Redang, Lang Tengah, if I'm not mistaken, Pulau Kapas, Pom Pom, with Track maybe, and many other islands around Malaysia. So just go and browse through all of these dive operations. Maybe just tell them your interest in becoming a volunteer and whatever they can offer. When you go from there,
So Vanessa, as a volunteer, as a COT program volunteer here at Tioman Island, could you explain to us what is your responsibility?
So my main responsibility is...
Thank you so much for watching to the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Kindly do find part 2 at our episode list. If it's not out yet, please do consider subscribing. Click on the bell notification for the latest update of our content. By the time that this episode is out, I am excited to tell you guys that I am probably be diving at Tango Island, taking awesome footages of you guys. So please do check out our Instagram account with the link provided at the description below. Do follow our adventure, and I hope you guys will enjoy our underwater footages. Here's a preview of the next episode. How does it feel like hanging out with a bunch of scuba nerds? It's like all day, all night, just talking about
diving.
Yeah, remember they asked you that question, right?
Yeah. It's actually great because sometimes I struggle with staying in one place. Another example, when I saw something and then I want to make space for other divers to see the same. Yeah, I just feel awkward in that moment.
Right now, you're already in advanced open water. You will be doing your rescue. You can straight away go into your wreck diver specialty. Just go into your rescue first, because that's definitely a very rewarding course. In order for you to be able to help people, you need to be able to help yourself first, right? So you learn that